video, we're continuing the Alternate Future of the World series. And as we all know, the world froze over after a massive war. So now it's starting. France, after becoming imperialist and making two puppets, decides to declare war on Germany, believing the lowlands and Rhine areas are rightfully French territory, basically, is their claim. And well, quickly they declare war, with no one really joining yet. And then Italy decides to join. Yes, Italy's joined now. Followed by the Russian Empire, which has help from the Hungarian Empire as the Ukrainian Empire gets war declared upon. Turkey decides it's a good opportunity to go against Bulgaria. Just because it is. That's their reasoning, I guess. And with Greece, Albania joining their side. Followed by all of these nations. And then we see this nation, that nation, and this nation join in. So let's see the initial attack of this war. With Germany not having fun in the initial invasion led by France, as France manages to quickly advance on two fronts. As Russia opens an offensive against Germany on the other angle, or axis, whatever you want to call it, opening a two-front war. Now Bulgaria gets attacked. Same with the southern part of this country by the empire. Wanting to create an empire. This nation was an empire, but is now fully going to be gone. But the Balkan nations, yeah. You might think they stand a chance, but no. They're fighting 4 nations, 2 versus 4. So it was 3, but one of them already fell. And they're all big nations versus small nations. With these 3 nations falling in a frontline opening against Greece, it reaches a stalemate. But Turkey has one problem. They got 3 nations to the south. Well, they move in to capture their access to the coast through this territory, and they move them back over here due to it impeding on their territory. And well, they manage to occupy this. As Arabia starts a frontier along with Egypt, they manage to take a big chunk out of the south. But even though they're still managing to hold their gains well, with France managing to advance further into this area. Well, they also advance south in Italy towards Rome. With Russia finally fully opening its front against them, with them even advancing into Bulgaria. As they take out the Ukraine, yeah. Which seems interesting. Well, they advance here, with their advance happening against Bulgaria. Mostly because there's not enough forces. But they all decide to send some forces down against Turkey, just because it benefits them. They make a landing here, a landing over here, north of the Cyprus area. And they advance north. Quickly, Bulgaria manages to pull off an offensive. And despite being invaded, these nations manage to start crumbling Turkey. Russia's soon going to have to start sending forces in if they want to hold it. As Ankara falls, all organization basically starts falling in the military. They start failing. to hold this front. And they advance around the coast here, with a stalemate managing to be created over here. But as they were advancing towards there, quite a bit of land was taken as Italy loses like its northern half. And these two fronts connect into one. But now they can launch an offensive in the west, as Russia's moving into it. And against them there, they decide to launch an operation here. It's Operation something. Yes, something, that's what it's called. And well, they quickly advance into Italy, but mostly to take over the Rhineland. And then Italy manages to launch a successful counter-offensive, pushing France back. Another offensive is launched by them, which manages to push here. And seeing that there's a lot of forces down there holding that front, they move some forces across the border over here, with advances towards Paris meaning the forces have to move. That did not work out well, with Bulgaria getting run down by the forces, but still not needing to surrender. Same with Hungary, but the forces start slowing, as logistically they're so stretched. And while as France is there holding that front, they launch an offensive into the mountains. Doesn't get really far, but they also manage to take the islands. And they decide to land here and move into the puppets. And well, the other forces land over here. And also it's kind of ice. It's hard to move through. And well, the fall of Iberia. Yes, Iberia has fallen, as France starts losing its Mediterranean coast. They can either surrender or fight back. They try fighting back. They do this. But in the end, it doesn't work out because they get pushed back. That's what happens. At the end, it didn't do anything for them. They are forced into capitulation as they can't fight. And in the south of Russia, a breakthrough is made by Iran, Arabia, and Egypt, and Bulgaria, probably. And well, yeah. Russia's pushed back in the south, managing to hold this front, but through doing this allows a breakthrough in the front over here. With them managing to occupy it here. Over there, they manage to advance north. And they push up further, as a re-liberation of Hungary is about to happen. And they manage to take over all of Hungary. They manage to push up, and they're forced to withdraw from there, with them eventually being pushed out of these two areas, followed by Crimea. And well, against Russia, you may be wondering, how's this going to go? Well, what they do is they move and advance up here, capturing this. That's their first plan for doing it. They capture their access to the water here. And while they take a northern offensive as they move in to reach Moscow to take it. And well, Russia surrenders. So now we need to look at the peace treaty being annexed. And well, Serbia split. Same with Croatia between the three. With France losing a lot of territory, including some in the south. They lose all their puppets. They lose lands to Italy, Germany, yeah. And then Turkey, well, they end up like this after losing what they had in this area. And they're to Italy, with Kurdistan and Georgia being made into nations again. And we also see Russia still a nation. Never became a puppet, but that wasn't a surprise. And we got a giant Germany. Almost looks like another one, but it's not it. We got Hungary. Yeah, that Hungary does not look like any Hungary I've seen. And then we got them, which is Serbia, followed by Bulgaria and all their annexations across the Balkans, securing their power. Now, Italy, they annexed Cyprus and this area of Turkey and parts of France, including these two islands, with Egypt gaining some coastline up the Mediterranean. Well, all of what would be Iraq is now given to Saudi Arabia, with Iran annexing lands up to there. And then they decide after this, while no one's looking, to get a Black Sea coastline. And these two nations here are not having friendly relations at this time. And this nation here is making progress. So they test something out. They think it's a solution, so they try it to see if it can make this area more hospitable. And it does, but they want it to go a lot more widespread, so it's not a success. But they did get land back. But it took too much to do it. This nation wanted that nation, but failed to get it. With four actually, these four nations decide to unite. With Russia somehow annexing that state over there without any access but through other nations. Well, this nation over there sees it's better for them to do this. And then this nation over here decides to annex that nation. And well, that's pretty much all for today's video. Please like, subscribe, and comment. Wild Mapper out, and on to subscribe. Bye, guys!